Hello, guys. It's your host from the Brett. Recording. Why you start late? Hello, guys. It's your host from the Breath Review Show. Let's fire up this review. Today's reviews, episode 10 of Gamers. Now, Gamers starts out with Amano basically bribing Ugly to join the Gamers Club with a dessert. She ends up agreeing, and around from continuing, and then it goes from where a couple of days ago, where they assumed that Urahara had confessed to Chiaki. So they came up with a plan to hey, let's throw it out in the open. So that everybody comes out to an understanding. Well, Amano chickened out, and he talked about a game. He really couldn't. He really couldn't do it when people were staring at him. He couldn't handle the pressure. So they ended up talking about a game called Star Ocean, about the newest game, and that there's gonna be be coming out on the shelves the following day. So he was gonna be buying a copy, and he was so excited about it. And he talked about the original one being the perfect one. Everything, the characters, the story, everything melted together perfectly. And he talked about the second one actually as if it was being made for him, just for him. And that's one other reasons why he likes that particular series. It was all time favorite. And people, they were like, "Oh, well, we're happy for you, we're rooting for you," and all that. And the next day or that night, Chiaki is laying in a room on the floor in the dark, and she's surrounded by magazines and old games. Shut up, phone. And I threw my phone across the room. And she is talking with her sister Konoha. And Konoha pretty much calls her out on it. It's like, what do you want? When it comes to Keita, what do you want? I mean, this plan of yours is pretty confusing. You even got me ringed up in it because I have to play Mono and Nobe right in front of the guy as soon as I see him. And she's like, well, what do you want? I mean, do you want to get closer to him? Do you want to keep fighting with him? Or do you want him to get out of your hair completely? And she just all of a sudden curls up in a ball, and she's like, basically, you got to figure out what you want. And when Konoha leaves, Chiaki is like, well, she called it. When it comes to Keita, I don't know what to do. I don't know what I want. It makes you kind of feel sorry for her, because it starts out where Urahara thought she was cute. She started liking him, but then episode 8 happens. The ending of that happens where she like finds her first love, even though she knows that Amano and Tendo are going out. They're dating, and that everything seems to be going quite well. The next day, Keita runs off as fast as he can to go buy the game. Urahara gets a message from Aguri saying that she's going to go have dinner with her middle school friends, and that he is to go home without her. And he's like, okay, cool. So I'm going to go to Chiaki to class 2A and let Chiaki know that I'm on her side and that I'm willing to help her. Well, Chiaki is still under the misunderstanding that he confessed to her, so she brings I'm sorry, you're gonna have to wait, but I'm not used to this sort of thing. And he's like, wait, is she still going through her feelings for Amano? Okay, I get it. It's like and then Tendo comes in she jumps in. Is like, I don't know what's going on here, but I'm wondering if you guys can help me out with something. And as they're walking home, like they're walking around, and Urha is like, okay, what's this problem? And she all of a sudden starts talking about Amano. I mean, having like her, like ever since she started dating Amano, her skin is as soft as a baby's butt. You know, everything she's eaten so far is even more delicious, and just having so much of a ball. And Uraha's like, oh gosh, her feelings for Amano are legit. And then he looks at Chiaki, and Tendo says, well, like he says something about games. I mean, just think of Amano not having games. I mean, that would be a disaster. And she responds with, well, if I have to share them with games, then that's fine. I understand that. Then that's something I'll accept. And then Chiaki goes, well, you don't have to be jealous of him about his games. I mean, that makes Amano who he is. He might be a wimp, but he can be stubborn too. And, that's why you like him, Tendo. And she's like, yeah. And then she's like, oh my god, I'm so sorry that I have my awesome boyfriend on my mind. And it just gets immediately stopped by Uruhara. I mean, he puts both of his hands on both of them. But in the midst of that, just before he does that, Agri is realizing that she just fell in a trap, right? She got set up by her old middle school friend who's in between two guys, and she shows them a picture of what she looked like before she dyed her hair. Black hair, pigtails. And she's like, hey, and she tries to take the phone away from her friend, and her friend grabs a hold of her arm and pulls her into the seat next to the other guy, sitting to the left of her friend. I wouldn't really call her a friend just by how she was acting. She was quite rude and more like a bully than a friend. And her and these two guys that she dragged along were making fun of the gamers meetup, making fun of Amano, making fun of mainly Amano, and making fun of the other of Tendo and Chiaki. And Agari's like, hey, I have a boyfriend, right? She's like, yeah, I know, but it doesn't mean that we can't have a little fun, which is basically the meaning of it. Like, it's okay to cheat. No, it's not okay to cheat. And this is where a lot of people, when this episode came out, really like rooted for Agari because she's a strong-willed girl, and she is. I mean, she's she stood up to bullies. I mean, who claims to be her middle school friend, called her a wallflower, and basically, like, she killed the mood that was going on. Like, they're having fun, making fun of her friends. She didn't take that well. As much as she really wanted to lash out at them, she just stood up, said a few words, and said she was going to leave, and she left. And she got stopped by her friend, the bully, and she's like, "I don't know what's going on, what's wrong with you, but why do you think it's so wrong for us to make fun of some guy and some random guy?" I mean, even though she says, because mainly it was about Amano, even though Amano is a nerd, a gaming nerd, he is still my friend. You have no right to make fun of him. So she knows who her real friends are. And she walked away. Because it's like, if that's all you're going to say, then I'm just going to walk away and leave. That, for some people, it takes a lot of courage to say, to even act as a wallflower and just, take it and then walk away and with a smile on your face and act as if it doesn't bother you at all. but yet when you say the words like you have no right to say it or whatnot, you don't know them, you don't understand. And to say something like that takes a lot. And she lashed out at Agony. He's like, I don't know, understand. Like, you know what? Even in middle school, you're still a wallflower just like you were in middle school. I don't understand you. And she's like, well, I'm glad of it. I'll take that as a compliment. Thank you. Goodbye. And as she's walking away, she starts calling Tasku Urahara, her boyfriend. But Urahara has his phone on vibrate, so he doesn't hear it. And she's pretty much sitting or squatting down on the sidewalk here and basically crying. And going back to what I said before, when he just stopped Tendo from talking about relationships, Aguri catches all three of them, and she's like, "Oh my God, you're cheating on me with two of the girls that you're interested in, and whatnot. I can't believe this." And she turns and just bolts, and like, "Oh no, I thought we went over this." And Udaha just takes off running, and Tendo and Chiaki start following him, and she's just, I thought we understand. I was like, there's no way, blah, blah. And Tendo's like, I don't like Urahara at all. Urahara's like one of them NPCs that are uninteresting at all, period. And Agni's like, I feel the same way. I was like, even though I remember him saying that I was cute one day. And he's like, da da da. And he's like, really? I know your girls are trying to do me a solid over here, but you're really slamming me. Goes to show you, cheater. And they finally catch up to her. They go to the arcade, and they're sitting in the corner of the room, and she's sniffling a little bit, but she's calmed down enough. Hi, and to come to the understanding, like, hey, it's just a misunderstanding, and whatnot. It's like, okay, I understand. And Oda's like, well, I'm still here. Really, I'm the one who's getting slammed here. And Chiaki and Tendo turn around and give him the look. The look of, I'm going to whoop your ass, you cheater. And she's like, oh, when I thought things were bad, I called Amano. I sent Amano a message. It's like, oh, that's a false alarm. I'm just going to tell him. And, like, why would Amano come? That game's like Star Ocean, that 5th edition of the game is like his all-time fave. There's no way he would stop from, push that aside and come settle this, right? Well, they all came to a surprise when they heard Amano say Aguri, and he comes out and he's huffing and puffing, he's sweating, and obviously looked like he ran the entire way there. And he came to look, and he seen Urahara, Tendo, and Chiaki there. It's like, wait, was this all just a misunderstanding? Did you just cry wolf? Did I just push that game aside just to come down here? And it's like, yeah, dun, tee. And it was like, da da da, Mono, you big dummy. All sweaty and all that. Yeah, I wouldn't have been if you wouldn't have messaged me crying wolf like that. It was like, oh, I was like, they did like, I didn't hear wolf. And Tendo's like, I don't understand. Star Ocean, I thought that was like the all-time favorite, meaning you're gonna go after it. And it's like, oh, that? I pushed that aside as soon as I seen Ugly's message, and I came as soon as I could. This is more important than a game. So even Amano, who's a big gaming nerd, who's all about those games, and I forgot to mention a part like where he gets beat up by Konoha when he calls Tendo about how to asking advice about how to decline someone's confession, where he ended up hearing the words from Tendo saying "I love you," and he's like, "How in hell did my girlfriend get so adorable?" Which Konoha beat the crap out of him, which is hilarious. But and that's when they understood, like, in a dire situation, Amano would put his friends over his games. Like, he would stop and go help a friend. Now that's a real friend. Not like that bully that was claimed to be Agari's middle school friend. Not like that girl. She wasn't a friend. So, and if you were to take something from this episode, make sure you know who your friends are. Make sure that if something happens, that they're there for you. Make sure that they don't do that. They claim to be your friend only to set you up in a trap, knowing that you're either in a relationship with someone or not, to set you up in a situation that you don't want to be in. that's my advice. This episode here, for what happened and the lesson that you learn here, I'm gonna give this episode a 9 out of 10. But even with that, seeing with Urahara, Chiaki, and Tendo seeing Agari and Amano that close, kind of made him get really jealous at the end of the episode, and that's exactly how they end it with But like I said, I'm gonna give, because of the lesson that you learned here, with what happened, I'm gonna give this episode a 9 out of 10. So I want to thank you guys for watching, and it's time to cool down and look forward for the next review. Peace.